Welcome to the MyTech Toolbelt podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Shannon.
And I'm Brenda. And this is a podcast where we highlight educators who innovate, engage, and inspire through the use of technology. Well, welcome everybody to the MyTech Toolbelt podcast.
We're back.
We are back. We are back from Chicago.
Chicago, ISTE 2018.
Yes, it was very fun.
I am exhausted.
Oh my God.
I'm exhausted. I slept so hard, Brenda. That was 4 intense days.
Right.
Because we came in on Sunday.
Right.
We came in on Sunday? Yeah.
Yes.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
That was 4 long days.
Yes. And time changed.
Yeah, I don't do well.
For us,
I don't do well going east. We're Los Angeles. When you take away time, my body gets a little messed up. but really, we got in on Sunday. I think hindsight, we should have come in on Saturday.
Yes, I totally agree.
There was a lot of stuff, a lot of networking that we could have done
on Sunday
that we didn't get to do. There were a lot of people, and those our friends and folks that are listening to the podcast. Like, we're so sorry if we didn't get to connect with you because there were so many people we did not get to connect with.
And like you said, in hindsight, knowing now that the actual conference doesn't start until Monday, Sunday is like a prime day to do all the extra things that you won't have time to do.
Right. Because we didn't get to sightsee except for like on our way back to the hotel before we went to the airport. Yeah. We stopped at the Bean.
The very last couple hours is
literally barely an hour. I think it was an hour and a half.
Right. To have lunch and to see all of Chicago.
So we did. I do feel like we did miss out on the touristy part of that, but and a lot of networking. Right. I mean, how many emails did we have to apologize because we just could not fit people in? No. So
yeah, we had to make some tough choices.
That was hard.
It was hard.
And we were hoping to run into people that we didn't run into, and then we did run into people that we didn't know we were going to run into. So I mean, it was just an amazing event.
Yeah, and the large scale of the event in and of itself is pretty overwhelming when you first walk in, and
huge.
You're like, wow, this is very large.
Right. So I've been to ISTE before, but there were only, 15 or 16,000 attendees. There were over 18,000 attendees. Yeah. And then when you add in all the conference and expo folks, 24,000.
That's a lot of people. I mean, it's a city, basically.
It was a lot of people in one space.
Right. But I have to say that convention center, the McCormick Place in Chicago, was a great location.
I think so. It didn't feel that crowded.
No, it did not feel that crowded. But it also didn't feel that big. You know, it felt manageable. It didn't feel like it was over several buildings. It just felt like you were still contained in one building, which was very nice. Yeah. And it's so funny, 24,000 people, and you would still run into people that you knew. It was totally bizarre.
Multiple times. Right. So our listeners are going to be happy to know that I did find the tech rabbi.
Thank goodness.
I did. And I walked with him maybe 100 feet to where he was going from one door to another place. And I did get to chat with him. So it was extremely exciting. He did give me a sticker for my hydro flask, which I was holding a spot for him. So I was very excited. So if you were following me on Twitter, you saw a bunch of people that were not the tech rabbi that I ran into.
That was hysterical.
People that looked like the tech rabbi, similar beards and fun. They were all great sports. So thanks to all of those folks. And the tech rabbi was such a great sport for chiming in on some of those tweets because I'm a dork and it was fun. It was just fun to do something different. Right. I mean, they had the ISTE tag. Where it was a game of tag.
I know. And I didn't understand that.
I didn't understand it either, but it looked really fun for the people who were playing it. Right. So maybe somebody will email us and tell us.
Explain that.
Yeah, what was that? All I know is at one point our friend John Carippo was it.
Yes.
And so I was trying to avoid him because I didn't know if I was going to be. I don't want to be. I don't know what to do if you tag me it. So yeah. So ISTE made some announcements.
Yes.
Let's start there.
Yes.
They made a couple of pretty big announcements. I think the biggest would be, we'll save the biggest one for last. Okay. They said they're going to do some smaller, more directed and focused conferences across the United States next year.
Right.
Because we do know that although 18,000 teachers attended and administrators attended this one, there's millions of administrators in the United States that didn't get to come.
Right. Can't go for various reasons.
Right. And so I think they're going to be smaller, more directed, and hopefully more cost friendly, budget friendly, yes. Because this one was, I think, the highest ISTE conference that I've ever paid. It was extremely expensive. So that was, I'm hoping that some of the new smaller ones and more focused ones will be, and geographically desirable ones will be more affordable. They also announced the ISTE U, where they are giving out certifications for teachers, and they do have an option for college credit.
Which is awesome. Which
is super awesome. They are focusing on their kind of focus this year moving forward is on digital citizenship. And this is coming from Richard Coletta, who is the executive director of ISTE. And he talked about how digital citizenship for students, the way we teach it now is fantastic and it's important. It's online safety, cyberbullying, password security, all the way from K to 12. But their focus is really going to be on the digital citizenship of like how students should use technology to make the world a better place. I almost think it shouldn't be called digital citizenship. It should be called digital stewardship, because it's making the world a better place, understanding fact versus fiction. What are you going to do with this now that you have this information? How are you going to go out and be a better steward of, society? So that's my suggestion, ISTE, if you take it.
Yeah, I love that name.
I think it should be digital stewardship.
And keep digital citizenship as separate.
Yeah, as what it is, so that it doesn't, but they've probably already made the announcement. They're not going to go back because because Shannon at Sabaldo on Tech was like, hey, found a better word for you. But that's just kind of how I'm kind of thinking about it in my own head. And then the big announcement that came at the very end of ISTE was the TED Ed.
Yes, the TEDx for education, TED EDU.
TED EDU, I think, is what they're calling it.
And it's a collaboration with General Motors.
Yep.
And TED and ISTE.
And they're highlighting teachers that are very inspirational. So we did get to hear one of the keynotes. There were a couple TED Ed EDU speakers throughout the conference. Luis Perez was the one that was kind of highlighted at the keynote, and we got the opportunity to meet with him after.
I know, that was pretty amazing. Again, just bumped
into him in the expo hall. Took a selfie with him, so that's on our Twitter and our Instagram, I think. But he was amazing and just so inspirational. His story is fantastic about how he is basically going blind with this degenerative eye disease that he has from, I think it was trauma. Mm-hmm. But he's a photographer, and he's an advocate for assistive technologies, and he has a book out, and just so inspirational, so magnificent. We hope to someday have him on our podcast. He sort of agreed to it as we twisted his arm and was like, hey, you want to be on our podcast?
Because we're very passionate, too, about assistive technology.
We are.
And we definitely want to highlight much more of that in our coming episodes.
Yep. So stay tuned for that, because I anticipate that'll be a series of episodes, not just a one and done, where we can have experts like that, like Luis, and there's many more that we've met that'll add value to how we can use assistive technologies to help all learners in the classroom. So that was super fun.
Right. And he was pretty funny because he walks out on stage and he's got the white cane with the red on the bottom, and he has someone helping him to his spot on stage. And then he talks about being a photographer as one of his passions, and the fact that kind of surprises people as he's walking down the street with this cane, and then he stops and he takes out his camera and
starts taking pictures. People are like,
what are you doing?
Yeah.
But he's got an amazing Instagram, and we will have his Instagram link on our show notes.
Absolutely. And he's not fully blind, right? He was saying that he's going blind from the outside in. So he is able to
like a tunnel vision,
vision, yeah. And he is able to take these amazing photographs, and I think it's for him,
right?
These are for him, right. And it's just a passion project, and it was an amazing, very moving keynote. The two other keynotes that the day that we went was the Tech Rabbi, which was phenomenal. Talking about using creativity and inspiration, exploration. It was fantastic. Again, you can find we tweeted a lot of things on that, and I think you can follow the Tech Rabbi on Twitter as well. Mm-hmm. The last keynote speaker of that trio was Andy Weir. He's a novelist. He was a former computer engineer.
Right.
And who really loved English and writing, and had kind of always written these little fun novels for himself, and was kind of writing a novel and posting his chapters online.
Right. Several. He was writing several at the same time.
Yeah, right.
3 of them.
3 of them going at the same time, where he was just
writing
for fun and
getting comments from people, and
realized that this one that he was calling The Martian, I think, was getting a lot of activity and a lot of demand. You might have seen the movie. I think they might have made a movie out of it. He said it was a very surreal experience. The publisher picked him up very quickly. First an agent,
right.
And then the publisher called about 2 weeks later, and he was like, "Talk to my agent." And then, next thing you know, there's movie rights and
right. Interesting story.
Fascinating.
He never meant to go and write a novel. That was never his goal.
I think he tried. Remember, he took some time off when he cashed out of some company, and he spent 2 or 3 years writing, and it flopped. And so he was like, "All right, I'll just go back to going back to writing for fun." And then,
right.
And I think he kind of said, "I gave it the college try." And so he kind of felt like, I gave it a try. I'm just going to go back to this, and then sure enough,
and writing for fun.
Yeah, and then that all spiraled from there.
Yeah,
it kind of came when he least expected it.
Right.
So good for him. So that was fun. He was signing his books and. Yep. What else did you do? I want to know what else you did, because you and I weren't together the whole time.
No. I went to a couple sessions, went to the keynote, but I mainly talked to people on the vendor floor. Like, again, just trying to make connections with people and walking around with our purple shirts.
We had swag. You had swag
we had
to give
swag,
away.
And when we'd be in a crowd, we'd hey.
Do you listen to podcasts?
So, yes, we had stuff from Go Noodle. We had items from
Flipgrid, I think.
Flipgrid, right, and our own swag. It was just really neat meeting people and then going to the vendors, because there was, I think, over 500 vendors.
There were.
And so that's nothing you can do in one day. And even 3 days, it was not enough time.
I think I complained a lot about my feet hurting.
Again. Yep.
Always. And I switched out my shoes.
Yes.
They still hurt.
Yeah.
But it was great.
It was awesome.
There were a lot of great vendors there, ones that we hadn't seen before, a lot of new, kind of startup.
Yep.
There was a startup section.
Which was nice. And it was nice because ISTE gave them, I wouldn't say prime location, but it was right in the middle of the whole entire vendor floor. And I think, good for them for not putting them over in a corner,
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Nobody puts baby in a corner. And these guys are just starting out, right? So they need some people that are going to walk by.
Yeah.
So I think that was good.
We did not win Hamilton tickets.
We tried.
We tried really hard. There were 8 or something sets of tickets that they were giving out. We didn't.
Nope,
no,
none.
We had no good luck that day.
No.
And we were talking earlier about how it's really hard. There were 24,000 people there, and everyone. You I only saw the tech rabbi once.
Right.
But one of our listeners, one of our international listeners from Chile,
she tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hi, Brenda." And I'm like, "Yes." She goes, "Are you from My Tech Toolbelt?" And I said, "Yes." I think I was just so shocked that somebody actually recognized me.
Oh, you were wearing the shirt.
I was wearing the shirt, right? It was a purple shirt, but it was not at all what I think it was just too overwhelming for me to think somebody really recognized me. And
because you didn't get a picture with her.
I did not. I was so upset.
I know. I was so sad.
And because we had communicated the week before on Twitter, and maybe it was Instagram as well. I can't remember. And she was, she says, "Oh yeah, I'm going to ISTE too, and I'm from Chile." And wow, because you sort of forget that it is an international.
This is an international. Yeah, it's an international conference, but we didn't realize we were an international podcast.
Right.
We are.
We are.
With big time now. We have at least one international listener.
Right.
If you're from somewhere else other than Chile.
So I'm sorry, Christina, if I don't pronounce your name correctly, but Christina Avayai, something like that. I don't even know how to pronounce it. But thank you so much for finding me. It was amazing. And it's funny. So then I was talking to her about what she was here for. She said she's a coach down in Chile at a newer place, and she was trying to get her makerspace area set up. They had a couple of 3D printers, but that was pretty much it. And so she wanted to get that started, but she didn't know who she should be talking to. And I said, "Hey,
you know a guy."
I know a guy. Because the day before, we were talking to the guys from Best Buy.
Yep.
And I said, we need to go and talk to Tony at Best Buy.
Tony at Best Buy. He's my guy.
Yeah. And she goes, what? Best Buy? I never would have thought of them. And I said, ding, ding, ding. Because it's not only that they will do everything for you, but they will point you to the right people.
Right. If they can't. That's what I love about the Best Buy for Education team. Tony Lipinski's been our friend for many years in the Los Angeles education space, and he's helped me facilitate many a Chromebook and carts and all kinds of STEM maker space, little bots, you name it. And him and Nate, his supervisor, and Lisa on his team, they are fantastic. And if they're not your people, they will point you in the right direction. And so they happened to be there. So that was the first time I had met those guys in real life. We had been communicating for years. I had met a few other Lisa at one of our local conferences in Los Angeles, but I had never met Tony, and it was really fun. And I'm so glad that you and I had connected with him the day before, and then you took him over there, and he'll point her in the right direction. If he can't get it, he'll get her to the right person. Right,
and then she's on another plane because she's in another country, right? So anytime you go to ship something to another country or sell something to another country, it just brings on a whole new level of issues.
Right.
So I'm sure it's got to be hard to try to find who to talk to and how to get this happening. So it was good. It was really good. It
was fun.
Yeah.
I wish we would have got a picture, Christina. We're really sorry.
You have to come back.
But there is we are giving you a solid shout out.
Yes.
So thanks for finding Brenda. And I tried to start the hashtag Find Brenda, but it didn't catch on. So sorry. And then, so some of the stuff I did, I also went to the keynotes. I focus on a lot more higher ed because that's the space that I work in. One of the most interesting sessions that I went to was on, what do principals think about personalized learning? And we're going to put the link in our show notes to this research study, but it was fascinating because the data showed that there's huge support for personalized learning from these administrators that took this survey. But in school, they felt 64% of these principals that were surveyed felt that the students had the right amount of screen time that they were getting in school. But 95% of those same principals said they felt that students had too much screen time at home. And so that they were really worried about what was going on at home. Now, they have, to my knowledge, no evidence other than
their opinion,
their gut, or what their teachers are telling them or things like that. But it was just very interesting that that's the principal perception, right or wrong. So and
that skews their...
It skews like how much they think is maybe appropriate screen time at school, if they think they're... so it was really great. They had 3 fantastic principals on the panel, middle school, high school, and not elementary, but I think it was 2 middle schools and a high school principals. And they kind of talked personally, once they kind of went through the data, they were talking about their experiences with, cell phone usage at school, and should kids have their cell phones out and things like that, and attendance and all parent communication, all things relating to technology and personalized learning. So it was a really neat panel. I think there was a lot of really good data in there coming out. I think it was out of EdWeek. So take a look at that if you're interested in kind of what principals are thinking. Take a look at that article. That link will be in our show notes on our website. Yeah. So and then I too also networked. Dan, who we talked about in our earlier episode, colleague of mine, Dan the Man. He also went to ISTE. And focused. We didn't get a chance to debrief because he immediately went to vacation mode. But I know he went to some sessions on personalized learning. He went to some sessions with our friends from Compton Unified talking about blended learning, and our friends from LAUSD talking about their experiences with technology at their sites. So he is just so excited about everything. You saw when we had. I mean, he was really enjoying learning. And I guess one session he went to, nobody showed up. It was a blended learning session and the speaker didn't show up. And so they just all started just a very organic conversation. And he was like, I could talk about blended learning. And he was like, I was leading kind of the session. He was
local expert.
He was. He's like, I was impressed with myself. He was proud of himself. And we were proud of him too. So he was able to share the knowledge that he had learned with us and share that. And I was like, local boy does good because Dan is from Chicago. So it was really fun. It was just, he had a really good time. His girlfriend was with him, and she was able to, see the vendor floor as well, and volunteer and get to meet people too. So it was a neat experience for both of them. I think one, especially that she wouldn't have been able to do had we not been able to get her a vendor floor pass.
Yeah, because I guess she had tried to...
Her school didn't have the money to send her. And
which is the case of so many.
So many, which is why we do this podcast.
Right. Because, unless you're able to go, you may not hear about any of the new technology that's out there, different events going on, different theories.
Yeah.
Right? And so...
I'll download my digital tote and put that on our webpage so that the resources from ISTE from the sessions that I went to will be available to anyone that wants to go to our website and check them out. So hopefully that'll help some of those folks that can't do that. Yeah. Hashtag not at ISTE.
Hashtag, yeah.
If you are hashtag not at ISTE. So
now, the app, did you find it helpful?
So we had done a lot of little just snippets on the app, little videos. They were on YouTube and they were on Instagram and Twitter.
On using the app
and so they made the updates. You could add things to your digital tote from the app by the time we got to ISTE. So that glitch had been fixed. That was I think really great. I think I loved the app. My phone really, I have the iPhone X or the iPhone 10 or whatever you call it, but so I didn't really lose a lot of battery. I think once I had to pull out my charger and plug it in. I did enjoy the app. I had it on my iPad and on my phone. My schedule was great. However, here's my complaint. Yes. I do have one. If anybody from ISTE's listening, here's my recommendation. It was too many clicks to get to my agenda.
I agree. Yeah.
So from opening the app to going to my conference to going to my agenda to getting to the day, if I wasn't on the right day, was too many steps. I think there really needs to be a my agenda on the very front page. Of what am I going to? Because oftentimes I would put myself down for two different things just in case one of them was too full or I wasn't on that side of the convention center or whatever. Yeah. So I did end up in the wrong place once. So,
and my only problem I had was I was trying to take notes in the app during a session and it kept deleting. And then I would, maybe I did something wrong. And then I'd do it again.
Thought it was user error.
Totally user error. And it happened again. And at that point, I just gave up.
Yeah. So we found the notes didn't work and the agenda was cumbersome to get to. It was not easy to get to. Too many clicks. And I think it could be improved upon for sure. I thought it was a great tool. One of the better tools that I've used before for conferences. I'm having a hard time getting my digital tote when I've added things to my digital tote from the app out of the app without being on a computer. That's the one thing I haven't tried. I've tried on my phone and I've tried on my iPad. And I did the entire conference from my iPad. I did not take a computer with me to Chicago.
Right.
So I was able to do everything. I took some notes, but
you have a keyboard though.
I do.
With your iPad.
I do have a wonderful Zag keyboard that I love. Shout out to Zag. And so I was able to take some notes, but we had these little digital chips on our name tags that when we went into sessions, it logged us into the session and supposedly we're supposed to get an email.
Right. Supposedly.
With all of everything that was in the digital tote because this chip reader was reading us.
Yes.
So I will really be happy if that comes via email and then I can share that with my team. And that was really the whole point was to figure out where you went and you could focus and not have to be taking notes and miss something. Right. You could just kind of focus on. And so I'm trusting that because I really didn't take as many notes as I would have had that not been an option.
Yeah.
So I was excited about that.
Did you do any of the connections, like when you would scan someone else's QR code on their badge?
No. You know what? I totally forgot that was really an option. It was a thing. I didn't see anybody else doing it. I did still old school just take a picture of people's badges and was like, what's your name again? I want to connect with you. And I would just take a picture of their badge. Duh. I could have just scanned the QR code on their badge. But, again, I feel like having my photos in my photos versus in an app where I don't have control over it makes me a little nervous. So like having my notes, even having that stuff in the digital tote right now, like if this app shuts down, I don't know where I would go to get all that information.
Because how long is this going to be live?
I have no idea. So my goal would be to hopefully get some of that stuff out of my digital tote in the next week or so. And then hopefully that email will come. And I put things in my digital tote that I wasn't able to get to that I wanted to know more information about. So I'll put all that up on the website. So next year it's going to be in Philadelphia. June 23, 24, 25, 26. So it'll be warm.
Yes. We were very lucky with our weather in Chicago.
Yeah. The torrential downpour happened while we were inside in the conference. Yeah. So we really didn't get a lot of rain.
Right. And it wasn't unbearably hot.
It was not.
Like it was the weekend prior or the weekend after. So it was not lucked out.
Perfect weather. Yeah. And book your Airbnb or hotel now. That's going to be my recommendation.
I think, Philadelphia is a much smaller city as far as hotels and accommodations in general. So definitely you want to get that done.
I think I saw a tweet that Kathy Schrock had already booked her Airbnb.
Wow.
Yeah. My goal is to be Kathy Schrock someday. First of all, that's just like wicked awesome planning. Oh, it's going to be in Philadelphia on those days? All right, I'm booked. Yeah. I was like, how do you even book that far in advance? I don't know. You have to have some seniority or something. Yes. She's got it. But we really enjoyed our time.
Very much so.
We came back-ish for a couple of days, and then we went somewhere else.
We did. We went on to the next item.
So July 2nd, we attended an EdCamp in Mammoth Lakes, California, which is about a 5-hour drive from us in the Los Angeles area.
Up
in the mountains.
8,000 feet.
Yeah, in the Sierras. Our friends at Q were hosting the EdCamp at Mammoth Lakes Middle School with the Mono County Department of Ed. Right. It was a fantastic event.
And I had never been to. I didn't even know what an EdCamp was.
Yeah, you were just like, Shannon's going. Let's do it. Let's get up
Mammoth,
here. Who doesn't want to go to Mammoth? And the weather, you couldn't have asked for better weather.
No, it's beautiful.
Perfect weather. We're actually recording this from Mammoth right now. So it was great. There were over 50 teachers that signed up from California.
Yes, and Northern California near San Francisco, all the way down to San Diego,
Orange County. Central California.
And it's a free event.
Yeah. Nevada. We had teachers coming from Nevada.
Yep.
Free event. Most 2/3, I would say, when they asked who had attended an EdCamp before, I would say 2/3 hadn't attended an EdCamp before.
I was one of them.
Yeah.
It's sort of hard for me to wrap my head around what it is.
So I will tell you. I'll give you the official definition that's on the EdCamp website. It's a peer-led, participant-driven professional learning opportunity that educators can have an unconference experience. And it's a model that allows teachers to learn from other teachers. So in other words, the expert in the room is you. And they share best practices. So in the beginning of an EdCamp, you tend to write things that you can speak on, that you're familiar with and could share ideas about. And then you write about things that you want to learn about. And those things, whoever are the hosts, they kind of gather all of that information. It's typically done on Post-its, big Post-its with different colors. And they kind of put a matrix together, like however many sessions they're going to do. It depends on how long the EdCamp is. It's a half day or a full day. And then you go to wherever you want to go. And, you're totally free. You're encouraged, if this isn't the right session for you, to leave and go to a different session. Nobody's feelings are hurt. This is just a totally kind of an organic experience. It was really, I thought it was really cool. We do this in Better Together, which I'll talk about later on in the episode, but it can be very, very powerful. There really is not a lot of there really isn't an expert except for who's ever just sitting there next to you. And you're like, what do you do?
Right.
So some of the sessions I went to was like challenges of small schools. Mm-hmm. A lot of the schools that we work with are very, very small and what I realized was there were way smaller schools. There was one with 60 or one with 30 kids in the whole school.
The whole school.
Yeah. So we had dinner with Janet from Ridgecrest, and she was saying there was 100, they might have 150 kids in her school. One of the other ladies that was there was like, I have 2 kids in one class. She goes, it's really hard to do project-based learning and when one kid's absent. I was like, okay, I can see that.
Right.
How do you do collaborative work?
Right.
You're just basically a tutor.
Yeah.
So we talked about different alternatives, things that, she could try, things like having all the math block together, doing all of math in one group versus having 1 kid or 2 kids for math and then 4 kids for a different grade level of math. Mm-hmm. Instead, so just kind of have math and then using the technology to kind of personalize the math instruction, and then doing small group pullouts during that block of time. And so it was neat to kind of hear these teachers talk about it. But no one was an expert in that room. I mean, we all were coming with our different lenses and challenges, and we were all like, oh, well, maybe you could try this. And I never thought about that. Or it was very eye-opening. And then we did a couple other sessions, a breakout EDU session, a digital breakout EDU session. What did you go to?
I went to an AR/VR.
Oh, yeah. That was with Steven Sato. Yeah. He's our friend. Follow him on Twitter. He's got a cool podcast about AR/VR podcast.
Yeah. We're probably going to do a little project with him.
I know. That was so fun. We did the podcasting. We did a session with a couple other podcasters and teachers who want to bring podcasting into their classroom.
Right.
That was a fun session.
Really fun session.
Good discussion on that one.
A lot of good ideas. Oh, I missed one because I had to come back, get ready, because after the event, we had a little happy hour.
We did a happy hour.
with everyone. Everyone who went to the EdCamp in Mammoth was invited to our little happy hour at the condo. So
I would say 50% of the people showed up.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, some of them brought their families.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, we didn't leave the patio until the sprinklers turned on. So
for the second
or the
time.
grass. Yeah, it was fun. It was a really neat event. We did shared Google Docs for each of the sessions. So
and that was really neat. Nice.
Because everybody could be on the Google Doc and put their notes in. And I on each one I attended, I put my name and email address in there so that if anybody ever wanted to get a hold of me, that they would have that in a Google Doc forever. And I encouraged other people in my group to do that. I don't know if anybody else did, but it was just a way for us to kind of connect. But it was fun. I can share that. Share that. We did lots of cool sessions. Some of the sessions were blended learning, project-based learning, the AR/VR, the Edu protocols. John Crippo and Marlena Hepburn were here. They were the ones kind of hosting the event, and they had their book, and they were kind of going over some of the Edu protocols as part of their book. So it was fun. It was great. We're looking forward to more. Too,
in the beginning, John started off with just a topic about his learning style and comparing it to football and,
repetitions.
Yes, repetitions, right? And so then he said, okay, we're going to take a little quiz.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no. And you didn't need to prepare for this, right? Because it was on video games.
Video games or something, yeah.
Okay, so we're pretty much all on the same baseline. Almost, right?
Yeah, I would say I didn't knock it out of the park.
But it was interesting in the fact that it was an online quiz.
Quizzes. QUIZIZZ.
IZZ. And they have quizzes that are already on there that you can use, or you can make your own. And basically it was 4 choices, and it wasn't A through D. It was yellow, green, blue, red, and
they were randomized.
And they were randomized, right? And so you couldn't say, oh, I choose C.
And you couldn't look at the person next to you because they weren't on the same question as you.
Right. And it was timed, but it was not, you could take as long as you wanted to.
Right. The faster you were, the higher your point value.
Right.
Your score.
Yes.
If you got it right. But it wasn't stressful. It didn't feel stressful.
Right. And then he would show us what the instructor, the teacher, would see at the end of everyone taking this quiz. And he could see who was on which question and how we were doing. And, I'm sure he was just calling us out just because he wants to give us all a hard time. But at the end of the first round, as a group, we were about 47% correct.
Uh-huh.
And these were questions like, they would show us a cartoon character of someone from a video game, and like, who is this?
Right.
Is it...
And what video game?
Like, nobody really knows. It's all pure guessing.
Right. Was it mac and cheese? Was it Mick from something?
Right.
Was it Mac from something? Was it, Mick from something else? It was all very, we just didn't know.
We had no idea. Everyone's guessing pretty much.
Yeah.
And then he goes through the whole test.
He went to the ones we missed.
Went right through.
Every single one. Yeah.
Right. And said, this is why, this is kind of how I would make a connection to the right answer. Right. Then boom, we're going to take it again. Oh, geez, maybe I should have paid attention to what he was just telling us, right?
I got 100%.
I did too.
Congratulations.
Yeah. But it was amazing, right? Because Now everyone takes it again. We started off 47%, and then what did we end up at? 97?
97 or 98,
98%?
Yeah. Second
as
time
a group.
As a group.
Right.
Yeah.
So
he made one guy really nervous when he was talking to him during the test. So that guy is going to claim retake. Yeah. But the theory behind that practice is you're going to come in with previous knowledge or you're not. We're going to go through this. Then I'm going to know where you are.
Right.
Then I'm going to teach. Then we're going to do this again.
Right.
And then I'm going to repeat it again.
Right.
And we're going to repeat this until you are at 98%. At 100%, that's great. But if I can get you to 97 or 98%, you're solid. Right. You know what you're doing.
Yeah. And it's also for the teacher as well, right? Because now you can say, oh, question 3, everyone is struggling with. So obviously, I need to spend more time.
And question 5, everybody knows the answer.
Right. So why am I going to go
I'm not going to spend 3 days, beating this dead horse, So you guys got this. Let's move on to where you are lacking the content knowledge, and we'll focus on that. And this idea of we're going to take this quiz on Monday twice, on Tuesday twice, on Thursday twice, and by Thursday you should be able to walk into that test on Friday and ace it.
Right.
And in between those times, and the test probably took 5 minutes, maybe tops. Now, I mean, it was a 6-question quiz for us. It could be a little longer, but the idea is that you're really able to focus on the content in between the time, and you're saving your lecture, quote unquote, or your teaching for filling in the gaps and for after they've taken kind of that first baseline assessment twice, and then they kind of know where they are struggling and where they need to focus their energy, and then they do it again, and then they do it again, and you teach some more, do it again, teach some more, do it again, teach some more, and then by Friday they're good to go. Yeah. And those are proven. His Edu protocols in the book are proven, and that was a great example of one of those.
Yeah. Okay.
We have a couple announcements, I think.
Okay, so Flipgrid, a couple of days, I think, before we were leaving for ISTE, all of a sudden, the Twitter is like on fire.
Crazy.
Flipgrid is free. It's
yes.
Like we don't pay, and if you've already paid, then you're getting money back.
Yeah.
And I, of course, am the skeptic saying, wait, if we're not paying for it, how is it free and where are they making their money? Well, Microsoft owns them now.
Yep.
But still.
Why are you not excited about this, Brenda?
I know.
Every teacher on the planet is excited about it. Brenda's always a skeptic.
I am, because I think, all these companies that have everything for free, and I totally understand the teachers love free stuff. I get it. I love free stuff.
Well,
but coming from a business background, I think, how long can they maintain everything for free? I'm not talking about just Flipgrid in general, but just everybody else who has a freemium model totally. I don't know how that can last.
Well, if they have a free model totally,
right,
that can't last.
That can't last.
They're either getting grant funding or something. Very, very few. Padlet was one of those where it did have a paid version, but really nobody ever used it. And then they went to everybody is a paid version.
Right. So now they went opposite.
They were like, you only get 3 Padlets now, and that's it.
Right.
If you're a new subscriber, you get 3 Padlets, and then everything else you need to sign up for the teacher version.
Right.
And they got a lot of pushback, but it was a financial model that as you saw, the majority of the people were using the free version. I could have unlimited Padlets.
Right.
I had 58 Padlets that I had created over the course of the years that I had been doing this. So as 58 Padlets, they gave me 3 more. So I have 61 Padlets that I'm allowed to use now, but I can't go over that in my version unless I pay for the free version or the paid version. So, I'm not out anything. I'll just delete some Padlets and start over. It's not, no harm, no foul. But that caused a lot of but these guys have to make money. There's a lot of designers and coders that are putting a lot of effort into this. So there is a financial model that has to be done. Being acquired by Microsoft is a whole nother game.
Yes.
Microsoft is making money from your business when you buy licenses.
Exactly.
And so Microsoft is pledged to not make money off of education. So the only Microsoft education product that I know of that has a fee associated with it is the Minecraft licensing for students. It's $5 per student per year. Mm-hmm. And that is because it needs to generate. There's a lot that goes into that. I don't know if it'll stay that way, but right now that's where it is. But other than that, anything else that you want to do in the Microsoft suite now, including Flipgrid, in the education licensing, no charge. Because they're making money off their business folks. Or personal consumers who want to use Microsoft and their 365 products and things like that. So I'm not skeptic. I'm very excited. I am a Flipgrid ambassador. I am a huge fan of Flipgrid. I use it in the courses that I teach. I teach it in the professional developments that I work out. I'm a big fan, and I love the fact that they were able to prorate out unused. If you'd paid for a license, you got whatever you hadn't used back, and that everyone will have access to the full version of this amazing product, because I was like, it's really worth it. Like, it's really worth the $60 or whatever it was that you're going to pay. And that's hard for me when I know teachers are already spending so much of their own money.
Right.
But for the tool that it is, Microsoft is guaranteed that it'll remain free as part of their suite. So I'm super excited.
Oh,
about
yeah.
it.
No, everybody is so super
excited. Everybody on Twitter was a flurry.
Yes, definitely.
That's crazy. And so the last thing we want to talk about is the Better Together conference, which is coming up July 27th. It's a California teacher conference, teacher summit. It's held at over 30 sites across the state of California. Loyola Marymount is one in Southern California, Cal State Fullerton. Typically, there's some in the San Francisco Bay Area, the Northern California area, the Central California area, and then the Southern California area. So go on and register. This is Sir Ken Robinson is the keynote speaker. So if you don't know who he is, he's an internationally acclaimed expert on creativity and innovation in education. He's written The Finding Your Element and The Element, How to Find Your Passion, How Finding Your Passion Changes Everything. He has one of the most famous TED Talks of all time. So is his on the developing an education system that nurtures creativity. And so go and register. I will be at the LMU site. And so if you are going to register for the conference and you're local in California, come to the LMU site, say hi to me, tap me on the shoulder, take a selfie. I will be there with some friends, and we'll be kind of helping at that particular location. The focus this year is on personalized learning. And so I hosted one of the Twitter chats for Better Together California. It is #BetterTogetherCA. And if you're not able to attend due to location or timing or whatever, just follow that hashtag that day on July 27th. And there'll be a lot going on. You can follow me at Tobaldo on Tech. I'll be tweeting through that. And I don't know if you're going to be around to be at that conference, but if you are, you'll probably be there. And so I really encourage you, if you're in California, to try to attend one of those sites. It's free, and it is after the keynote. There are some EdCamp style sessions.
And is it all day or after?
It is an all day. Yeah. The information's on the website. We'll put a link to the website in our show notes, but you can just Google Better Together CA. So
excellent.
A lot of stuff.
It
was busy. We at the podcast, Brenda and I sincerely thank all of our listeners. We really got to meet a lot of people who listened to us over the last couple of weeks at the conferences and just at this EdCamp, and got to spend time with them. And so just thank you for listening and letting us into your lives for 45 minutes to an hour, and
let us know how we're doing.
Please. We need feedback.
We do. And if there's anything else you want us to investigate or question or anything else, just let us know.
Shoot us an email. Yeah. Send us on Twitter. And we want to make content that is meaningful to teachers and administrators. So please share this podcast and rate us and let us know how we're doing. If it's bad, just send us an email. If it's good, give us 5 stars. So wherever you're listening, Apple, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube.
Google has new podcasts.
Yes, I did update all of that information. So
that's exciting.
Yes, if you need help, just send us an email. We'll send you a little link to how to. It should be native in your Android phone. Google phone. It should automatically come up, just like Apple did. Apple has their own podcast app. Now Google has their own podcast app. Right. So it should be fun.
Yes.
We're excited. Thank you for listening to us.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting to be recognized by people. I still can't get over that.
It's only the beginning. You're going to have to wear dark glasses and a hoodie when you go out from now on, Brenda. I don't know what you're going to do. You're funny. Okay. Until next time, we've got some good episodes coming up.
Yes, we do.
Some great episodes coming up. Stay tuned. You don't want to... make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next ones.
Oh, and there was one thing that I was a little disappointed with this, which I was kind of hoping to find while we were there, is some foreign language technology. Didn't really see anything. And so if you are a foreign language teacher and you use technology in your classroom, I'd love to hear about what you're using.
Me too.
Very curious.
That's right. We did talk about that.
Yes, we did.
There was not a lot there.
No.
I don't know that there's a lot of software out there to support.
There may not be. And
so if you're looking to start a Kickstarter,
yes, let me know.
Some kind of ad campaign. You got to. That seems to be a market that is underserved right now.
I would tend to agree.
There's a lot of focus on math, ELA, and STEM.
Yep.
Right on.
Right. All right. Take it easy.
Thanks.
And
we're out.